It's almost a unification. I like unification. Mm-hmm. Welcome back. I like unification because ROM unified West Coast and East Coast. Genesis was the first time that Armada came out, the first time that Sweden and International kind of showed that they were, I hate to say it, right? To show that they were real from a U.S. perspective because we were arrogant.
We were arrogant. But dare I say rightfully so.
Then you've got the Five Gods.
Yep.
That's how I feel.
H-box question.
The H-box era.
That was the last. That was 2017, maybe a little bit of 2016, but roughly 2017, 2019 was the H-box question. 2015, 2016, that was like...
part in it. Yeah, and then there's like the reset.
The reset. Whatever we're at now, which we don't really know yet.
Yeah.
We don't really know what it looks like yet. But
so actually,
it's a reset.
In a sense, this is the history of the top players, but the history of the community is, it's like the rule set era. Like, we didn't even have rule set. I feel like after that, it was the East Coast, West Coast divide.
Yeah.
There was a machine idea. There was an idea that Mewtwo beating everybody and he's a robot. Melee's a solved game, and like, you can't play Melee with humanity.
Yeah, you have to be a lame-o. Melee's flaw dissected, hacks money, smash boards.
The existential era, dude.
Ooh, wow.
And then there was Brawl.
Brawl. Kind of ties in. It's kind of the same era, kind of the same period.
Yeah.
Because Mewtwo for a while, he was number one, both Melee and Brawl at the same time. Brawl came out 2008. Well, Mango started. So I suppose, and then I think Brawl and then Mango's reign. This whole area, this chunk is all. It's like Mango is dominating everything.
Yeah, because I feel that the scene was much more divided.
Yeah.
Before that, before ROM, something changed.
Evo and the post-doc era, I think, is the real true.
Yeah, that's a huge.
Where Evo 2013, so this was the donation drive. Spirit Bomb. And then it was like, boom, super majors every other weekend. It felt like the Summer Smash. We don't even say the phrase Summer Smash anymore because it's like a we take it for granted. We still have Summers of Smash every every summer, but we take it for granted now.
What year was ROM?
ROM was 2008, 2009, 2008, 2009. Genesis 1 was 2009, so
yeah, 2009. This is when I started. It was 07.
Yeah, and I started 08.
Ish.
Revival of Melee 1.
And maybe I over-index on 07 because...
Yeah, 2009, dude. That's crazy.
And when did Brawl come out? Was that 2009?
2008 Brawl came out. So, 2008 Brawl came out. Because that was when I started playing Melee. I started playing Melee right after Brawl came out. And there was a year where...
Okay, so the Dark Ages came after...
Mango was actually he started going like this while Brawl was out. Because everyone else was playing Brawl and Mango was playing Melee. Which I guess is a good way to do it.
So... I gotta call it the Dark Ages because the revival...
We called them the Dark Ages.
The revival of Melee was the... Right?
Revival of Melee, Genesis.
Yeah. Yeah, and in the revival came the globalization, and that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily global community, but global metagame. The metagame kind of converged, right?
Yes, yeah. Regional styles became less of a thing.
That's right. And when did technology become a thing? Right? When were we able to train better than going into training mode?
Yeah.
Because that was a big, big, big change.
This was
the
play
20XX
as well as
technology
20XX
era.
first, really, the technology era, if you want to call it that. 20XX, net play, Uncle Punch.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's something that happened around here where still like getting good
Still,
I'm almost gonna. Yeah, it was hard.
Now it's easy.
Put bullets.
I mean, it's
Control
not
shift.
easy. It's hard, but it's
Getting good used to be hard and mysterious. Put it that way.
yeah. Now everyone knows what they more or less should be doing.
I think it gradually became more accessible.
More accessible.
Still hard.
I almost want to say NetPlay era.
Well, NetPlay is after 20XX because NetPlay is pretty recent. It's starting to pop.
Yeah.
But 20XX was around way before, right?
I think so.
The original 20XX.
Quite a bit. Yeah.
It's been around for a while.
A little while.
I think even in 13 we had it because I remember people playing on modded stages and stuff. You know, cool, weird stages around.
We had
13,
modded
14.
stages and stuff like 2010, like modded character skins and stuff like that. There's actually less of that these days. I kind of miss that.
I miss that too.
Yeah.
It's so dope.
Cool songs.
Iron Man. Yeah, cool songs, dude. We gotta bring that back.
Yeah.
Because hey, that's a monetization play for community members who are good at that stuff.
Yeah.
See, I like that. That's the era that I want to live in. I want to live in the spiritual meaning generating era.
Right.
Where people can give to the game with whatever they're good at and they can receive warmth and comfort, validation. Because we do care. I care about anybody who's good at making music.
Imagine if we had like a Scar and Toph creator spotlight.
We could do it. Let us know.
Logo
Let
right
Toph
here.
know. We don't have a logo yet. We need
don't
that's
have a
the
logo
first job for y'all.
Every time I do this,
Creator
I feel like
spotlight for the designer.
I'm pressuring Monster Tipper to. Sorry.
But this is a job opportunity.
But it's a job opportunity.
Some creator can make the logo.
Yeah.
That's where I want to live in. I want to live in the. Ooh. I want to call it the spiritual era.
Spiritual era.
But I do think that this is important because mindset I feel is inherently an inward journey.
It's an inward journey.
If you're dealing with your mental game, you're going inside and you're asking like, what is going on?
You can't go outward. You can ask for help, but ultimately, your final destination is inward.
It is. There's no avoiding it. And I think we also have a lot of stuff and have a lot of talent, and it's not organized. And I feel like that's a going inward thing too, in a sense. It's at a community level.
Oh, the individual versus the community.
That's
community
right.
Has to go inward
yeah,
now.
this is the individual.
Yeah.
Yeah, finding your mindset, finding your purpose.
I like that. I want our community to go inward.
Yeah.
Scar and Tosha started on a dream, Bobby.
It did. It did. And we're not the only ones who deserve to dream.
That's right.
I get a lot of fulfillment out of this.
Right.
You think that I want to steal a spotlight?
Check it out.
Go ahead.
Someone came out to me. I did this. I think I might have told you. I might have told you about this, but not in any public capacity. So I did this panel the day after Genesis. I went to Stanford and I gave a panel with Jacob Wolf and Spiff from Spiff's Face and the homie. The homie. And we did a panel on like finding things you can do in the esports space, like whatever,
so
right?
much.
Because like I worked at Twitch as a software engineer. Jacob Wolf, obviously, he's like, big time esports journalist, etc. Spiff is like merchandise guy. The homie also works at Twitch. But anyway, someone came up to me afterwards and asked me like, hey man, I think his name was Anthony. Really hope his name was Anthony. I think it was Anthony.
Probably.
Anyway, the homie came up to me and he asked me afterwards, like, hey man, like, say you're a guy that's interested in commentary. Here's the thing. It seems to me like the commentary space in Melee is very saturated. Okay? It's very saturated, like the established commentators are established. It doesn't feel like there's any way to break in. There's no way to penetrate. How would you even go about doing it? And I stewed on that for a second before I answered him. I stood there for 15, 20 seconds and I thought about it because I said that's a good question. And then I came up with 2 high-level notes. The first thing I told him was the thing you're feeling is not new. When me and you started,
Felt the exact same way.
we felt the exact same way. It's not like I sat there like, wow, there are no established commentators, time to swoop on in and take all the jobs. It was like, no, back then it was the same way. There was already, Homemade Waffles Phil were the big West Coast guys, Prog and D1 were the big East Coast guys. Prague and D1 definitely were getting all the big top 8 slots at super majors, right? And I don't think we ever, I mean, I'm speaking for myself here, obviously I can't speak for you, but for me, I never came along like, my goal is to start commentating top 8s. Like, it was never extrinsic like that.
No,
for
it wasn't.
me,
Yeah.
it was like, I want to commentate because I think there's some unique flavor I can bring to the table. And I enjoy doing it. And I think that there are things that I do that I think I do better than other people. So I kind of want to explore that. And it was very like, inwardly, intrinsically driven, okay? And anyway, what I said to the homie was, well, I said those things. And I also said, like, if I had to do it all over again, if I was doing it today,
Yeah.
what I would do at a high level is I would say, okay, what do I think I can do? First of all, you have to you have to derive your own sort of enjoyment in it. You have to find something you enjoy doing and something that you feel, because I think it's like your dharma or whatever is like, it's something you have to enjoy it to a certain degree. You have to find meaning in it. Find something that you bring to the table that no one else really can in terms of commentary. For me, back in the day.
Find your voice.
Find your voice. For me, back in the day, and I think why we succeeded was I was really into talking about specific nuances that I felt like most commentators did not talk about in like matchups or whatever. I think you were very good at sort of high-level narrative and kind of weaving it all together and kind of explaining to the viewer almost why they should care, why it was meaningful, why it was important. And we were both also very good at bouncing off each other. So I had the micro, you had the macro. So it was just like, you know, it was good. It was like,
Yeah.
it's like we had a nice package.
Plus, I'm interested in the stuff that you point out,
And vice versa.
you're interested in the stuff that I point out.
Precisely.
So it's like very easy for me to be like, oh damn, what Toph just said was so sick.
Right, and we got better at that over time
Yeah.
too. So and that was the cool part, was you felt like there was actually something to get better at. It wasn't like we need the TOs to give us the commentary jobs. That's our metric. Our metric was more internal. It was
Yeah.
like we need to do a better job playing off each other, and we did. So if I was an aspiring commentator today, what I would probably do is I would find something that I'm good at, that I think I'm good at, that I enjoy doing in commentary, that I think no one else can do. Imagine, like I was telling this kid as an example, I was saying, well, imagine, you're very good at this narrative building and narrative cultivating aspect. But you're like more old school, right? And we're amending that as we are, looking to the future and looking to define the modern era. But imagine, as a very simple stopgap, imagine if there was a commentator that was very good at what you do, but like was very intimately familiar with all of the modern top 20, top 30 players or whatever, and was like if that sort of person existed, they would almost immediately shoot up to the top and get tons of commentary gigs, right? Mm-hmm. Imagine if there was someone, there's a million permutations that are like, it's like take the hype energy of like homemade waffles, but there's just because there are established commentators today does not mean that you can't easily think of a commentator that would be, or look at Sajam. Look at what Sajam does in the FGC. Who can really he does a ton of like on-stream analysis. I don't think any of the Melee commentators are really streaming a bunch of tournament analysis at a high level and then tying that to their commentary. Whatever. There's like a million things you can do that like. There are, how many established commentators are there in Melee right now? Not really that many.
You can make imagine, the list, man.
Right?
It's not that big.
It's not that many.
What, 20 people?
Like, if that, right? And then it's like, okay, and then from there are like concrete things you can do. It's like, if I was trying to break into it, I would go to my locals. This is the stuff you tell everybody. It's like, go to your locals or whatever, especially if you live in, well, I was telling this guy, if you live in NorCal, you really have no excuse here. There's, if you live on the West Coast, you're set.
Yeah.
Go to locals, commentate. It's very easy to commentate a local. You can pretty much always, you can just sit down and people will let you commentate. And then you make a little reel, send it to your like local guy when there's regional. And then, people start to know who you are. And then, it's like, yeah, there's that established path. But at a high level, it's like, find what you do that you do better than anyone and what you think is missing from commentary.
It's really what you think is missing. I agree with that.
Don't people complain about commentary all the time?
They do.
You go on Twitter, people say, oh, all the commentators, none of the commentators are doing this thing.
All the time.
So it's like, well, you do it.
All the time.
All the time.
What I usually used to say was, write the thing out that you
Write it
want to
out.
see people know.
Yeah.
So people will be like, oh, I can't believe you don't know how Nana works with ice climbers. Like when she gets a grab and she's desynced in this specific situation, I can't believe you guys don't know this esoteric details. Like fucking write it, dude.
You could be the guy for that.
You can literally send it to me. You know who's going to be commentating. You could sit down with me and tell me what I need to know.
Yeah.
Or you could try to commentate. But usually
Right.
I think people just want their one thing to be done by them.
Even that, right? Even that.
But still, write it.
Yeah, there's a million things that are. If I was, God, yeah, you could be, you could build a whole brand off it. You could become. I mean, people have built brands off that sort of thing, right? You could become the guy that like
I think that's what
tweets at the top players every time such and such, you know,
could.
or whatever.
Yeah, the person who gets the intel. Ask the top players questions.
Yeah. Where am I going with this? I'm saying that there are lots of gaps, and I think that when you're
People don't have a path.
people don't feel like, they don't feel like they have the path. But when you look at it from a certain viewpoint, like if you're open-minded and if you take the time to sit down and write it all out, you realize there's actually a lot of things that are sort of missing that anyone could fill in.
We're responsible to make a path.
Yeah,
It turns out.
it turns out. We did
I didn't
the
think it was
Scar
our
Show.
job because we're doing so much other shit, but I
Right.
think that it actually is our job to help other people.
It is our job to help other people. At least just show them that there is a path.
We've been thinking about doing I really want to do it. I really want to do it. It's going to be a little bit of a risk, but you can get the money to do it. We could do a Kickstarter to do it.
We could do a Kickstarter.
I think people will want to do it.
People want to do it.
I would like us to do a Melee's next top commentator.
Top commentator.
I want to bring people in.
Yep.
I want to do a summit style thing, and I want to
Evaluate.
I want to help not only the people who are there, but the thing that's dope is when you do stuff like that, everyone else kind of learns. It's AOE. It's like what Dr. K is doing. It's AOE commentary wisdom.
Commentary wisdom, yeah.
And then, if we don't know certain things, it'll be great for us to share what we think and to get other people's 2 cents on things. Maybe we could flesh out the Melee tribal knowledge of commentary.
Yes,
Because
the best practices.
Right, it's not written anywhere.
No.
And I'm sure that no one really, really, really knows what's in my head when I do what I do, or what's in your head when you do what you do.
Yeah. And I want to take an opportunity as we do it. I would love to look outwards. I want to bring in, not even necessarily. I was thinking like, dude, imagine if we like brought in Sajam.
We could, that would be dope. That would actually be dope.
Right?
To bring in some commentators who are really, really. I got some. No, we couldn't do that. We couldn't do that.
We could try.
We couldn't do that.
Well, we could try.
Maybe for one day, dude.
One day. You would do it for one day.
I'm not talking about Sajam.
I know.
One day?
You would do it for one day.
I think you would do it for one day. Make it worth their while. I'll go into my war chest. I'm down.
I'm down. I'll go to my war chest. Well,
Anyway.
Yeah.
That's where I think we are today.
Yeah.
We still have,
People want to do stuff. I know you want to do stuff.
I know
We're going to help you do stuff.
I know you want to do stuff.
We're going to help you do stuff. We're going to help you do stuff.
How do you think the community, Toph, how do you think people feel about whether it's possible to get better at the game and be like a real contender?
Yeah, I don't know.
Would you say more hopeful or less hopeful than in the past?
It's got to be more hopeful.
I think it does, right?
It's got to be more hopeful. Yeah, it used to feel, no, it's like you said, man. It used to feel very mystical. Mm-hmm. It was like some like ancient, weird knowledge that felt out of grasp. Now it feels very tangible. Boot up 20XX, go on Netplay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got to be more hopeful.
I really do
I'm
think it's
losing
the
more
era
and
of
more Netplay
science.
Falcos, and I feel like all of them must feel lots of hope every uptilt they do.
Every time.
And it sounds like I'm joking, but I'm not. Is the fucked up part.
And what happens at the end? Paradox.
What do you mean?
Someday we're going to hit the paradox, which is the science and spirituality make sense of each other. That's the paradox. The paradox is when you have a playbook for how to get better.
Yeah.
And also we have the complete confidence and faith that the playbook is incomplete and that doing stuff that is totally off script may be the best thing to do. In other words, you have the science, which is this is the formula you need to follow, and it's true almost all the time, except for that one person who does this other thing. And we can respect that. That's the way that things evolve. It's the paradox.
Are there any
Living with
examples
the
of that
answers
today?
and the, oh man. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not sure that any. Okay, well here's I'll answer your question with a question. How many players truly live the paradox? And by that I mean they both have a game plan, but they also can transcend the game plan when need be.
I think you
It's
have.
not very many people have hit that level. Do you know what I'm trying to point at? I'm trying to point at this thing where you feel at the same time able to just sit and play the game.
Yeah.
In a beginner's way, while also having, having all that other stuff figured out. Being able to dial in and dial out as you need to.
That's the that is the loop that they talk about in the Mysterious Record of Immovable Wisdom, where they say the beginner just kind of fights like enemies coming at me, I got to swing my fist at them, and then you try to get good at fighting and you like learn all these little techniques and stuff, but then you have to like think about it because you're like trying to apply it. But then the master just fights like the beginner, but now he's got the techniques kind of built into his body because he's internalized all of it. Right. So even though he's not thinking, but he's sick.
Yes.
And to be able to flow in and out of your game plan is that's the hallmark of a master. And it's not unlike how the beginner thinks.
Yeah.
Because the beginner's not thinking and the master's not thinking. It's only intermediate people that think.
It's like a both thing.
It's a both thing.
You have to be doing both at the same time. You're not playing the game mindlessly and on feel.
Well, I don't think
you're
it's
not playing the game mechanically.
You're not playing the game mechanically. I think
you're doing a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. I don't think it's a binary. I think you have to do. I think that mastery comes to people, but then, like, I don't think you go around the loop once in Melee. I think you have to go around and around because, I think that most top 100 players can do it at like a certain level. Mm-hmm. But then when you play like HBox, he's very good at kicking you out of your mastery and sending you back down to your intermediate part of your loop, wherever you are. And so you have to keep incorporating, you have to keep going around. I don't think it's a journey with an end for players in Melee, or at least if there is an end, it's very high. Like I've definitely been there where I feel like I have a game plan and I'm able to kind of come in and come out, but that's because I'd be playing a certain level of player, or whatever. And then I think like if I'm going to sit down and play against HBox, someone like that, I think he would immediately bring me into a style of Melee that I would be completely uncomfortable in, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like there's no end to the path, man.
There's no end
Sometimes.
there. That's the event horizon.
Yeah.
You never get.
So what do you think the paradox is?
I think that everything. How do I say this? The more that I learn, the more that I live, and the wiser that I get, the more that I find that the answer to most questions ends in a paradox. I'll give you one example.
Give me one example.
Yeah, how do you keep the game alive? We talked about the Rakugo anime.
Oh, yeah.
You have to, at the same time, keep the essence of the game while changing the essence of the community or something such that it appeals to what is currently the environment that it's in.
Can you tell them about the two
change and
characters?
stay the same. Yeah, so if you haven't watched it, well, I don't know how much of a spoiler it is. It's not that much of a spoiler.
Doesn't sound like
so Rakugo is what?
It's like a form of storytelling. It's a form of like theater where you have like someone on a stage telling a story.
Yeah, and they kind of assume different characters.
Entertaining. Yeah, that's right.
And I think that the show spans a number of years, maybe 30, 40, 50 years. And so you can imagine that before there's the radio, before there's TV, Rakugo's dope, right? This is in-person, in-theater performance. Super entertaining. People really liked it. But as time went on, the war was a thing, and then after the war, more people had more security, so they were looking for more entertainment. But then after that, entertainment evolves in general, and now fewer people are going to the theater in general. So the environment changes, and there's this group of people who are earning their living as Rakugo performers, but also it's an art and a craft that, there's a lot of history and meaning to it.
Yeah.
So two of the main characters, and one in particular, sort of says that they feel it's their responsibility to keep Rakugo alive.
Right.
Find a path for it to survive properly through time.
Keep it growing, essentially.
Yes.
Right? Innovate.
And it needs two things for that to be true, which is...
It's like offense and defense, right? He says that it's like the one guy says, I got to find ways to adapt it to the modern generation or whatever. And then your job is to defend the traditions and defend the culture of it. And keep it being
the essence.
The essence. Keep it
the integrity of the thing.
The integrity of the thing. That's right. Yeah, really.
Because it's a push and pull. It's a constant push and pull where you want to push the boundaries of what is, what Melee really means to reach a broader audience.
Yeah.
But you can't push so hard that you go outside the integrity of the game.
Yeah, you can't.
It's fractal, right? You know about fractals?
It's
fractal.
Yeah,
you're kind of trying to fill in the tinier and tinier cracks. That's
and
why
you were
it's a
saying
paradox.
that's me and you. I think it is. I think you're on the offense.
I'm playing offense, baby.
You're on top 8 commentary, and there's a bunch of viewers that don't usually watch, right?
I'm trying to capture the opportunity.
This is Melee. Why you should care. This is what and then.
Yeah.
And then I can't.
And I'll play fast and loose, and I'll be a little bit sloppy here and there. You're gonna make sure I don't go too far.
Yeah. I'm trying to.
You're tying everything back to the game.
Tying everything back to the game. That's what you said. I'm on defense, basically.
You're an anchor. You're more of the anchor.
Yeah.
It's not defense specifically, but...
I'm just saying defense with regard to offense. But it's the culture and the...
Push and pull. I'm pushing, you're pulling.
I'm pulling, yeah.
But pushing is not better than pulling.
Pulling's not better than pushing.
Yeah, I find that... Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to say this.
Just, okay.
Let me think for a second.
Yeah. That's so beautiful, actually. Because we have to innovate.
You have to innovate.
You have to innovate. And we are. I think Melee is innovating. How many other 19-year-old games...
We're one of the best at it.
We're one of the best
no question. Right? You can't ask the question. There's no question.
No question.
What have you got that stands with us? Brood War?
Counter-Strike.
Yeah, Counter-Strike.
Counter-Strike for sure.
What else?
Right. I don't know. I think Dota and League are doing a good job.
How old are they?
At this point, pretty old.
Not as old as us?
Not as old
2001?
as us. Not as old as us, yeah.
Get out of here.
Nah.
Dota was created by the community, right? Dota's a mod of a game. It was League based off Dota, right? So the whole MOBA genre came after
which I think is fascinating. Yeah. But that was like while I was in college. I remember, that was like 2008. So.
People were asking me on Twitter about accessibility and diversity, inclusivity.
Yeah.
I was making a big stink on Twitter in the beginning of February. I was talking to people. I was telling people what I thought.
Yeah.
And I think it's very difficult for people to... In other words, you have to be open to a paradox where when you just think about what's fair.
Fair. Okay.
Then people will start talking about, oh, well, this person doesn't like this, and so it's only fair if I can have the, equal and opposite kind of thing. And then you end up in this conflict that can never be resolved.
Right.
It's sort of, there isn't a deeper understanding, and you have to, the paradox is that you always have to say, you have to realize that two things that seem like they're completely contradictory are true at the same time. So there's got to be, you know what I mean? Something gives, and you kind of enter into this paradox where two things just need to be in balance. And I feel that when it comes to the scene and what the rules are, what the culture is,
you
got to stay anchored into Melee while finding a way for kind of all these different people to coexist. So they all need to not hurt each other.
Yeah.
and it's not clear. You can't define what that is.
What is it in
But it's-
Evangelion?
We're trying to have
it's like the hedgehog's dilemma.
It is.
Right? It's like
It
the hedgehog's
is.
dilemma. It's like
It
how do we coexist with others, even though if we get too close to them, we're spiky and we'll poke each other.
You can't be too vulnerable, but you also can't be too protected.
That's right.
So
And
I'm more, I think, trying to make us vulnerable.
I
and
like
you're
the
making
framework
sure-
that our good friend Visa talked about, right?
What was it? VisaCon V on Twitter.
VisaCon V on Twitter.
Just blast it on the whole screen.
Yeah, thank you, MT. And he was saying that like the purpose, like strength and vulnerability are deeply intertwined, and people don't appreciate this enough, because one of the best things, if not the best thing about growing strong, with the context, like in the context of like a community or anything really, is that the stronger you are, the more you're able to give other people a space to be vulnerable. And in giving them a space to be vulnerable, they can become strong. Mm-hmm. They can sort out their weaknesses and become strong. And then they can go on to, like carve out spaces and carve out ways to let other people be vulnerable, to continue the cycle, which I think is very beautiful. And I realize this is something that I deeply aspire to in the context of the Melee community.
That's right.
That's right.
We want to hold the line and
Right.
help others come
Right.
at least up here. And then someday they'll venture forth, and hopefully they'll hold the line for us, and we'll catch up.
Totally. That's how I feel, and I feel like people, looking back, I feel like people were able, like I feel that I relate to that. I feel that even hanging out with you and doing the Scar and Toe show, I feel like gives me an outlet to be that and be vulnerable. And yeah, and the more you sort through these sorts of things, process things, think about your where you are on your path, right?
Yeah.
You then feel like you can help others along the way on their path. I like when you were talking about, on Twitter, like you worded as making a big stink about, inclusivity and things like that.
It's making a big stink.
Speaking of Visa, I was talking to him about, there was a phrase he used, which was doing work for the ages. He wants to do work for the ages, right? You want to build something that's lasting.
Homie. Yeah.
Right? Imagine like, you can do stuff that matters today, but won't matter so much tomorrow, where you can do things that are going to have lasting, rippling consequences hundreds of years from now, right? Like, I don't know, like Michelangelo. Think about people like that. Albert Einstein, right? Mm-hmm. Like great people. You don't have to be one of those people, but you can be a person that like existed, because like a lot of those situations where, or like the Renaissance era, right? There was like, obviously that wasn't just the work of like one or two people. It was like, there was a whole culture. Or like the hippie era in San Francisco, like periods of like interesting thought where there were movements, right? Yeah. And like he was talking about inclusivity. Visa was talking about inclusivity from the point of view of like if you are like if there's a culture that has like racism or homophobia or sexism, like the problem is that you're excluding these swaths of people that are going to contribute to the culture, and it just sets everyone back. And
you can't do work for the ages.
You can't do work for the ages and have hate.
It's hard enough.
People away. It's hard enough.
It's hard enough. This is the way that I see it. It's hard enough to know that our community is limited by the number of people who deeply care about Melee.
Right.
You want to limit it more than that? Trying to handicap us more than that? Are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah, it's just.
Given how much work that we need to do and how much opportunity there is to like dig deeper into this game, I want every person who can to do what they can do, even if it's one view of one top 8. I'm down. I like that.
Right.
I like that. I like more viewers.
And
in
I think
our top
excluding one person also has rippling consequences, right?
Yeah, because you don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know what that person could have contributed.
And there's many more people that see that example, right? If you're shitty to one person, many more people are going to see that and be like, that guy was shitty. That guy in the Melee community was shitty to this person. I don't want to join the Melee community. And that's going to impact lots of people.
Isn't it true that like if it's okay for anyone to be shitty to someone else for no reason, that like that means that someone could be shitty to anyone in the community for no reason?
Doesn't
it affect us?
It affects
me. Us, dog.
Yeah.
I don't want to be shitty to you because
Because then
someone's
going to be
selfish,
shitty to me,
yeah.
right? But then someone could be shitty to me, and then be like, well, you were shitty to that other guy, so I'm paying it forward. And it's
So
like,
this
well,
is
then
part
I
of
don't
the,
have a leg to stand
I don't
on.
know if this is the paradox, but this is the thing where if I'm shitty to somebody, I need to be okay with, okay, maybe I'm being shitty right now, because then I'll just,
It
you know what I mean? You
perpetuates
can't,
shittiness in the culture.
yeah.
And we can't have shittiness in the culture. Excuse me. Pardon me.
Yeah, we can't. And I also feel that it's important to meet the people who are being shitty unwittingly or ignorantly.
Yes.
You know, with a little bit of kindness, a little bit of compassion, a little bit
Let them be
bit of
vulnerable.
time.
Oftentimes,
give them the space to make it okay to be like, all right, I screwed up.
That's what I'm saying.
It's hard to say I screwed up.
It's hard to say I screwed up.
But that's why no Johns is a thing. Like we need to respect that. We need the no Johns of the social no Johns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you screwed up socially, just admit it. It's not a big deal. You know it's a big deal when you fucking double down. When you made a mistake, now you're doubling down.
I hate
Stop
that.
Dude, don't
I
worry
gotta
about
say,
it.
I hate that the fucking, I hate that the default behavior on the internet with like big, actually this is why people don't trust huge time content creators, because huge time content creators, you know what I mean?
They dig in,
I
dude.
feel like every freaking big ass YouTuber or Twitch streamer, I feel like they're always doubling down, and I think it's because they think they have to.
I'm not gonna double down. If I make a mistake, I'm gonna apologize.
If you feel that I owe you an apology, I apologize.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And I wanna know what it was that I did. I'll ask the honest question of like, please help me understand. But I'm not digging in. I'm
Dude,
I'm
this is
asking
such a
the
life
honest
lesson.
question.
If there's one
this is the
thing
same
you
as
as
in
the
Melee,
viewer-
by the way.
if there's
Please
one
help
thing
me
that you as the
understand
viewer-
why I got hit by Falco up tilt.
Yeah, right?
Help me understand.
You can
Don't
double
shut
down.
down. Don't shut down. Don't double down
And
on I
I-
shouldn't have gotten hit.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be upset with me. That's all bullshit.
And I do all the time. You can find countless examples of me on the reads doubling down, saying, I should have gotten hit by that, you know, blah, blah, blah. There was lag. But at the end of the day, and maybe there was lag, but at the end of the day, that's not going to make you a better player. It's not going to make me a better player. There's one takeaway. It's like, dude, if you like learning how to like apologize and like move forward and admit you were wrong. Oh, it's so liberating to admit you were wrong. You know what I mean? You're just like, ah, shit, you know what? You're right. I was immature in that moment and I'm going to move forward. Oh, it's so liberating and it's very hard to do. Most people can't do it. What's that? Would you? Ooh,
For like the reinvention.
That's
I feel like as we talk about this, what I think that the community did underneath Hungrybox
yeah.
was we kind of tore it down and built it back up. Like we did some serious refactoring. We did some serious reinvention.
Yeah.
We upgraded our tools.
We upgraded our tools.
This is maybe like the investment era.
Dude, I want
We
to
like invested.
I want to dig into HBox's brain.
Yeah, it makes two of us.
I want to find out. He's got, because he had to go, he's probably been through so much, right? And I feel like we don't see it, right?
Yeah.
You want to talk about, you know, things like, because he's been through eras of getting his ass beat by other top foxes.
Yeah.
And he always comes out of it with it's hard to point to exactly what he's doing sometimes, but it seems like I want to know like the timeline. You're writing down the Melee timeline, the history of Melee. I wish I could see a history of Hungrybox. Like I was getting beat by Mango, and then I went through these sets of introspections, and I came out with these discoveries, and then I started winning again. And then Armada started beating my ass. And then I realized blah, 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 and I practiced blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Because you can tell he's doing it.
Yeah.
You can tell he's doing it, but I have no idea what specifically he did, and I have no idea what the journey looked like. And I guess the sad part, is if he tells us all that stuff, I guess it gives away a little bit of his edge as a player.
I'm not sure about that one. That's the challenge with HBox.
If he ever
right?
retires like Armada, I guess maybe, you know, it would be cool if he like did it. Imagine just like a documentary. The HBox the biography, the Melee biography of HBox. This is like what my timeline as a player was like. I'd be so interested. Because I feel like it's much more mysterious with him. It's very, the other top players all talk about it more with regards to their own processes. Like Mango, it's not hard to tell what Mango's like working on. He'll tell you. He'll straight up just say what he's working on his stream. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I tuned into Mango's stream the other day. He was talking about like, I need to get, like when I hit Zane, I feel like I'm doing 40, 50 damage. Like I need to get 70 damage or whatever. Like I feel like I need to take stock sooner. Like I want to focus on comboing to these specific moves because I'm getting more, like he said, like I want to do more He's some like up airs or some shit. I don't know. He's there's like some move that I think is going to help me do more damage per opening on average. Take stock sooner. He'll tell you. Mangle will straight up tell you what he's looking for, what he's working on.
He will.
He will.
Thinking about some names for this stuff as you're talking.
Yeah.
There's some good names. I can't quite. I'm not finding the perfect name, but I'm thinking about like how we hung on, how we did it, dude. This is like the era of the Phoenix.
Ooh,
You know
well,
what I
the
mean?
Spirit Bomb, really, right, was
Yeah,
that era
yeah.
as well.
We did it, dude. That's so dope.
Yeah.
That's so filthy.
It's like the, is Event Horizon the word? What's the word? It's like you have to get past a certain point, and then once you go over the hoop, it's like what's the phrase
Critical
for like
mass?
when an huh?
Critical mass.
Critical mass. Critical mass. Critical mass. It's critical mass.
Critical
or
mass.
when an object goes into orbit, like it has to reach a certain orbital velocity. Orbital
Yeah,
velocity.
orbital
It has to
velocity.
reach orbital velocity, and then it's in orbit. Melee, that was orbital velocity. Melee hit orbital velocity, and then it's in orbit. Like this.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been on a wild ride. So what have we said? What we're saying is that
What have we said?
we're now in the reset.
Yeah.
We're in the reset. We're in the second set, dude. Second set of grands.
Second
Oh,
set
there
of
was a
grands.
reset.
Bracket reset.
What did we reset on? We reset on the H-box question. That's what I think is true.
I like to think we just made out of pools. And it was the kind of pools where if you get eliminated, you're out of the tournament. But if you get out of pools, you're back in winners. And I think we're back in winners.
Back in winners. Who went back?
We're back in winners.
Back in winners,
You
baby.
dropped some sets in your pool, but it was for seeding and making it out. We didn't get eliminated. Maybe we didn't get seeded the greatest. Maybe we got our mod round one, left in round one, but we're back in winners.
We need to brand the question era better. There's got to be a name for it. But it really was the H-box story
It was the H-box story.
for years.
It was the Thanos, dude.
Thanos.
Phase 2. Ooh, we do like phases, like Marvel.
Phase 2.
Yeah. What phase was that? I don't know.
I
Phase
have
2,
no
phase
idea.
3?
But one thing that I do know is that we're going to double down on whatever it is that Zane's doing and whatever it is that the top players need to do to put the legacy down and to play the game. Mm-hmm. So
Spirituality.
definitely check out the Pagey only content where we're doing a melee meditation. Stay tuned. We'll talk to you soon.